Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Idiots on the Airwave podcast. I am, of course, the Idiots, and Daniel is, of course, on Airwaves. And I just, I forgot to mute Hangouts. That
You mean the
wasn't a
chat?
that
You
wasn't a
just Googled.
Hangouts notification. Oh yeah, sorry, chat.
Yeah, because it's not Hangouts anymore. Hangouts redirected. The hangouts.google.com link redirects to chat now. So it is officially gone.
I've never been happier before. I hate Hangouts so much.
Why? The Hangouts. Oh,
Hangouts is the worst, site ever.
I mean, to be completely honest, the format is so different from any other thing that honestly it shouldn't have been as useful or as popular as it was because a lot of people used it. But, still have Discord, so everybody uses Discord.
Hangouts is for people who are scared to use Discord.
Or their parents won't let them get a Discord account.
As I
That's what it's
said,
for.
scared.
Yeah, that's how it is.
Probably for good reason, but I'm still gonna bully people for it. Anyways.
Oh, for real. Discord's crazy, dude.
So today I have voice crack. So today I brought you here to talk about things that have no right being as good as they are. I think the best example of this, it's not my favorite, but it is probably the most widely understood one, is Star Wars The Clone Wars show. Because if you really think about it, coming off of the prequels, now, if you're a prequel defender, that's fine, but you cannot sit here and tell me to my face that, like, Attack of the Clones and Phantom Menace are, like, brilliant masterpieces, well received by everybody.
Look, they aged really well because of everything that was built around them. If it wasn't for Clone Wars, the prequels would still be absolute garbage, except maybe for Episode 3, because Episode 3 was actually halfway decent.
Yeah.
But yeah, Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, no, they're just not good. But they are good because of everything built around them.
Yeah,
especially Clone Wars.
I don't even hate the prequels, but like you cannot in good taunt just look at those two movies and go, "Yep, that was good. I can get behind these two movies."
Yeah. It's average. It's average at best. I'll call them average movies, but yeah.
Yeah. So then you come off of those, right? Which is already a disappointment, coming off the original sequels. And then you get the Clone Wars movie, which Star Wars The Clone Wars is my favorite not visual media, what am I trying to think of? Film media, I guess, of Star Wars ever, but the movie struggles. The first movie really does struggle. It's not very good. So you have all of those things.
You have Jar Jar Binks. I don't know, man.
I don't think anybody was expecting anything good out of this show. And then like 7 seasons later, it's like hardly regarded as one of the best things.
Like one of the best shows like ever.
Just ever, yeah. So
yeah, ever.
That had no business being as good as it was. In my personal opinion, it's still my favorite Star Wars like show to ever come out. And the prequel movies are not my favorite movies. So
yeah. Well, when you think about it like that, I can see your point, cuz I heard about Clone Wars from another friend, and it's like, oh yeah, it takes place like within like between episode 2 and 3 is how it was explained to me, and I'm just sitting here like, I don't know, man. It like, so I saw the first half of the Clone Wars movie with my parents. They didn't care for it, but they let me watch the rest of it because it just like animation style just really wasn't for them. And I thought it was cool. I watched it like, okay, wait, hang on. What age did you watch Clone Wars at? When did you start watching it?
When did it come out? I genuinely do think it was from whenever it came out, because I don't remember. Actually, it probably was in 2008, because it was still back when I lived in Washington. And my dad would go downstairs and run on the treadmill for a bit, and I would sit down there and we'd watch cartoons. And I specifically remember that Star Wars The Clone Wars was one of the things we would watch. So it might have been since it came out. I'm not sure though, because I was really young, but it
I mean,
might have.
2008. You got to be like what, 3 years old or
Yeah, I was
something?
3, so it might have been
Yeah.
since the
Hmm.
beginning, to be completely honest.
Okay. I started watching it when I was like, gosh, I want to say when I was like 11 or 12 is when I started watching it. Started with the movie and then completely forgot about it for like 2 months afterwards. And then I saw that there was a show. I was like, oh, they made a show out of the movie. And I'm sitting there, and then somebody told me this, like, actually, no, that's not how it works. But like, yeah. So there was a show, and the show exists, and it it's interesting to hear you say that it doesn't deserve to be as good as it is, because it's like isolating it. It's actually brilliantly done.
Yeah.
Like, I've watched like in so many aspects that like we would have to have like a whole like 3-part episode series on, like 3 podcast episodes just on every aspect of how great the Clone Wars is. But like I think the most video essays I've seen on the Clone Wars have been in regards to how the villains are constructed and how they redeemed the Ahsoka character.
Yeah.
Because I remember when when I was first watching it and Ahsoka was, there, she was really annoying to watch. And I'm just like, does this character have to exist? Why, please? She's so whiny and she doesn't listen to Anakin at all. It's like, it's painful. It's so painful to watch. And then they redeem her later, and it's perfectly constructed, and it's really good. It's really good. And you're right. Coming off of the prequels and being based within the prequels itself, it doesn't deserve to be that good. It really doesn't. Because they used like they actually did justice to everything that like didn't get enough time in the prequels itself, like giving Grievous like actual gravity, and the whole thing with Darth Maul existing within the series. I mean, I'm one of those kids that just loves everything that Darth Maul is in, because Darth Maul. It's just one of those deals. I don't know what your favorite arcs in that show is.
I like Maul.
I think
Maul is epic.
Maul's epic. The Umbara arc had that specific arc. The Umbara arc had no right to be as emotionally impactful
If you're
as
not
it was.
if you're not gonna watch anything of Clone Wars, but you just want to get like the best of it, just watch the Umbara arc. It's the only thing I think that any Star Wars fan needs to watch, because I understand the Clone Wars is kind of a long haul to sit through with 7 seasons of it, especially since at the beginning it's not like the masterpiece it turns out to be. But if you're gonna watch anything, watch the Umbara arc, because that is just peak show. Period.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Peak. It's probably just like one of the greatest arcs in show history, period. And like that's a bit of a stretch to say, I know, because there's a lot of shows out there. But I love it, because I remember sitting there watching it, and then shortly after I watched it, my sister started watching it with me, and so I had to restart the whole show, because the only time I was able to watch it was when she was able to watch it. So then we actually finally got back to the Umbara arc, and she was like, oh my gosh, what just happened? And I'm like sitting there like, I know, right? Like, absolutely incredible. It's just perfect. I also like how the politics in the show itself is so fleshed out and almost realistic in a way.
Yeah.
Like the way in which the ebb and flow of the political regime within that show is very it makes sense, the way in which it's all constructed, and how it moves throughout the show, how it affects things within the show itself. And there's a lot of things in the show like that get turned into political matters, like stopping the production of clones, which then leads to like whether or not clones are actual living beings that are like rational, sentient beings like human beings, because that's a whole deal within the show. That's actually the main point of the Umbara arc too. One of the main points, even. So, yeah, but by far, yeah, I agree. If you ever watch anything of Clone Wars and you just want the best bit of it is Umbara arc.
Yeah,
Just yeah, absolutely. Was it 4 or 5
I
episodes?
think it's 4.
4 episodes? Yeah, best 4 episodes in the whole show.
And
Absolutely.
I would say that another thing about the Clone Wars, I think again it doesn't have any right to be as good as it is that it suffers from both being a sequel and a prequel. It's actually a double prequel in the sense that it's supposed to take place before the thing that comes before another thing. And usually with prequels, you at least get to come up with a starting point, right? You might have to
Yeah.
get to a specific end place, but you can start from a place where then you can unravel things. But if you really think about it, Clone Wars doesn't even get that because it has to start from Attack of the Clones. It doesn't
Yeah.
even get its own starting point. It is
Well, that
based
makes it easier in some sense because it has a starting point that's already given to it.
in
The
some
hard part
ways,
is then, like, actually doing it.
yeah, but
There is
it's
something from actually starting it, and then the momentum from the start carrying through the rest of it.
yeah,
So it's kind of like a half start.
yeah. It didn't have a lot going for it, so it's really impressive that they managed to pull out what they did.
Yeah, it's true. Um, Shoot, man. So Clone Wars, wow, that's a crazy example. Just go right in there with it. It's funny because honestly, a lot of things in my viewpoint don't necessarily need to be as good as they are,
Hmm.
or like made to be as good as they are. There's a lot of things that really don't that really shouldn't be as good as they are. Um, but in the regard that like most things just shouldn't be
Yeah,
because just as a principle of existing, that's how I view things. But I I think that in regards to uh, children's media, because honestly, if you're gonna tell me that Clone Wars is a children's show, it's not a children's show. Come on, it's so much more mature than
I
that.
have this gripe with stuff because it's either like a children's show or like an adult show, and that's so annoying. Because I think there should be like I feel weird because it's like I think whenever people say teen show, they think of like romance dramas or high school stuff. But
Rom com, yeah,
realistically,
yeah.
I think there is a place to be said that there are a lot of things that like I wouldn't say that it's an adult show. I feel like that's misunderstanding, like what Clone
No, it's
Wars
not an
is.
adult show. No, 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 no.
But again,
It's
it
not.
gets way too dark to be a kids show. Like
Yeah, it's
it's
not
a
like you can put, like most 8-year-olds in front of it and expect them to like thoroughly enjoy it.
yeah, it's not really either. So I think that's kind of like it's an in-between zone. And it works well because basically that means that anybody can enjoy it. Like, it's small enough scale to the point where, children can just be like, oh, the shooty shoot go boom boom and enjoy that. And then, like, older people can actually enjoy the story and characters. And
Because it starts out under the pretense of a children's show. Like my brothers are watching the first few seasons right now, and I'm rewatching it with them when I can. And I'm rewatching the first 1 or 2 seasons, and it's uh, the first season to the first like season and a half, maybe the first 2 seasons, is set up under the pretense that it still can be considered a kids show
yeah,
within this very popular franchise, which by nature of being popular would entail that there's some kind of uh, um, precedent that should be not precedent. There's this idea that because of how popular it is, it should be much more appealing to a much more general
yeah,
mass, which would entail children, because you can market this kind of stuff to children with certain stuff, like toys, or games, right? Um, or Legos,
yeah,
but um, the as the show progresses, it gets steadily more and more emotionally intelligent and like practically intelligent too, to be
Yeah.
honest, because that honestly I credit that show as my beginning of understanding how politics actually works.
Mhm.
Like I know that's really weird to say, but I really credit that show with kickstarting my interest in like how politics really makes the world go round, or rather how it doesn't, because in some cases it just doesn't. But it's one of those things where, but it doesn't. It's not like it just jumps straight from being a kids show into that kind of much more intelligent show. It does make a steady progression into becoming that,
Yeah.
and that's really what I enjoy most about that series. And that's why it actually can be marketable for all ages. Um, but in my opinion, it should start. You should start watching the show when you're like a little bit of an older child, so that you can grow with the show more or
Mhm.
less. It's a weird thing to say, I know, because growing with the show, it sounds kind of silly, really, but um, it is one of those shows where you have to be a certain age and have seen certain things to appreciate certain things to a certain level. Like my brothers don't get certain aspects of the show so far because I think because of their age. But whether that's actually relevant or not isn't entirely the issue, because even older people could sit down and watch this show and, for the most part, fully enjoy it, I think.
Yeah.
Um, so honestly, I think that's actually that might be um, why I would agree with your statement. I don't necessarily think that the Clone Wars doesn't deserve to be as good as it is, um,
I
in as much as its existence,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
I think that in regards to its influence and construction, and how how easy it is to understand it, how easy it is to understand the world that it builds, that part I don't think deserves to be as good as it is, because
Yeah.
oh my gosh, is it good?
Yeah, to me, whenever I say something that something doesn't deserve or have a right to be as good as it is, what it is to me is that it's kind of how do I phrase this? It's that nobody should have expected it to be as good as it is, or it like went above and beyond. It's something like to take two other examples. I don't think Avatar: The Last Airbender is a show that is better than it has any right to be, because it's completely original. There was no real reason to doubt that it wouldn't be good from the beginning, because it was good from the beginning. It didn't really have any holdbacks. I guess you could argue that it's like it doesn't have a right to be good just because it's so good. But to me, that's not really that. That's just a good show. That's just
Yeah,
like a really good show. Whereas something like Ninjago, while not being amazing, I do think I wouldn't classify it as a show that's better than it deserves to be, but I think in its early seasons it does go above what I would expect. And
yeah,
realistically, that's what it is. It's things that go above what I would expect of them
hmm,
significantly. So the Clone Wars does that just because, coming out of the prequels, and even after those first two seasons in the movie, it's like, oh, okay, I see where this is going. And then it just
yeah,
gets really good really fast.
hmm,
And
and
Ninjago
then
too,
yeah,
it's like, just sell the children the little Legos. And then while it's
yeah,
not like a
but
master class show, it's enjoyable. It has some weirdly hard hitting moments, so it's like it's better than I thought it would be. So
yeah,
it definitely goes beyond what it needed to be.
yeah. First 7 seasons did have that effect because it was still that show that was only being made to market another subset of toys, which is interesting because in that regard, you could argue that it does really well what Transformers failed to do, because Transformers was a show that knew that it's different from Ninjago, where like Ninjago knew that it was a show that's designed to just sell toys, but
Hmm.
they're like, okay, but at the same time we're just going to make it as good as we can, because why not? It's
Yeah.
it's a show that sells toys. Nobody's going to care either way, so let's put as much effort into it as we can. you could argue that the first Transformers, the G1, isn't entirely like that because it's like it's not bad. It's just not like above the level of standard expectations either.
As
It's
so,
average, not
as
painfully average, but
Yeah, as somebody who has only experienced Gen 1 Transformers through random clips I see online, it literally just seems like one of those like animes that they ported over to the US and kind of didn't really care about, so it just looks goofy half the time. And it's
yeah.
as somebody who has only experienced it through clips, that's what it seems like, and that's nothing against it. What little I've seen of Gen 1, it looks actually really fun. So,
Yeah, no, Gen 1 can be fun. It's just also one of those shows that like it knows that it's not going to be able to achieve a higher level of
yeah.
intelligence because if they do that, that will actually decrease the value of the product that they're trying to sell.
Yeah.
It's actually going to work against the initial uh, goal,
Hmm.
right? Um, which honestly, you could say, like, it's funny because Pokemon really should have been that too. Pokemon has no right to keep going like this, like with what, 25, 27 seasons right now? And like, because it was also one of those shows that was only supposed to market a card trading game, right? Like, wait, hang on, was it the
No,
video games that came
it
first
was
or
to
the?
sell toys.
Okay, yeah, it was,
That's
yeah,
what the anime purpose was. It was to sell toys. I don't really think that there is a big. I don't think there is really a big market of people from the anime going over to the games. Is what I mean.
yeah, because a lot of the people actually that are in the anime only really know about the anime because
Yeah.
it's a different kind of uh, environment
Yeah.
because the show for some reason created its own atmosphere that became its own continuity. And we talked a bit about that last episode too, how it became its own continuity, completely separate from the selling of the merchandise and the games and the manga, and how all of those things are its own continuity.
Yeah.
And
Basically,
in
any subsect of Pokemon you find, they're radically different from each other.
yeah, and in that regard, that I would say that that franchise doesn't have the right, more or less, to be so incredibly massive to the point where everything is its own continuity. It's like, where do you get the guts and the idea to even do that, right?
Yeah.
Like that's it's just but they did it and it's still going. So it's just one of those things, I guess.
Oh yeah, the new game's coming out. I have to play these. I'm not gonna lie. This is a complete tangent, but if Pokemon doesn't get these next games, well, I am gonna cry. I have been threatening to abandon the season for like the entire franchise for like the past 3 years, and I always break down and buy the new games, and I tend to be disappointed. So if they don't do this, I'm going to cry.
I didn't know they were coming out with a new Pokemon game. What's it called? What's it called?
What is it? Violet maybe? I don't
Dang.
actually know.
So it's interesting because this conversation is kind of it really could go one of two ways. It's either things that don't deserve to be as good as they are, or things that don't deserve the level of influence that they have.
Mm.
Because certain things have a ton of influence and they aren't good at all,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
honestly, uh, like I'm gonna say it, the Pokemon show isn't that good.
No.
Even the games themselves, honestly, I never got into them because of their like very simple. To me, it was a very simple method, and it was a method such that I did like I know like me, a Mario kid, calling Pokemon simple, right? It's like what kind of kid are you? But I was never into RPGs, right?
Hmm.
Like Paper Mario even is such a foreign thing to me. Like I can appreciate it, but like my brothers are much better at that kind of thing. Like my brothers would just crush Pokemon. I could never. I could never. It's not. It just doesn't. It just doesn't work with my mind right. But um I still don't think that Pokemon doesn't have the right to have the level of influence that it does, but it does, and it's still like, still works. So, um, I don't know, man. What are those kind of things, where it's like it's not necessarily the right, like, because we've already talked about that
Yeah.
Clone Wars, right? Where it doesn't have the right to be as good as it is because it's good, but in as much as the level of influence that it has, its popularity, like what kind of things you reckon? Because because that's what I would say that like Ninjago is. Well, Ninjago actually could be argued to be good, so I don't know.
Ninjago is just weird. I think Ninjago overall is just a weird show to talk about because uh,
I could talk about on that show for like half an hour,
I
dude.
could too because it's weird and in the best way possible. Just everything surrounding it is just such a weird, unique situation. I think for like stuff that doesn't have like to be as popular as it is, I think that's more subjective because I, for one, actually think that Pokemon deserves it because I'm really into Pokemon. Before
Yeah,
X
and
and
that's
Y,
fair.
I I'm not willing to defend anything after X and Y.
After X and Y, or you don't
I,
like X and Y
anything
itself?
that went after the 3DS, I disassociate from.
You didn't like Pokemon Go, bro?
No, bro, Pokemon Go is cringe. Um,
I had so many people I knew would just live and die by that game, and I'm sitting there like, what is Pokemon Go? What's the premise of this again? It's like
yeah.
you lost me.
But for things that I personally don't think deserve the influence, I think Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is one of them, entirely
Oh
because it's so relevant, but I never hear people talking about it. That's really the
yes,
main thing. Is like
yeah.
everybody knows it, but I nobody is like, oh yeah, I'm really into TMNT. It's always like, yeah, I've
I
heard of that.
the, when I got like when I used to get like these old Lego Club magazines. Like, did you ever grow up with those?
I think I got a few of them.
Okay, my mom had gotten
Oh, he frozen.
it for new sets, comics within stuff, and within the first few issues that I had, the TMNT stuff was one of those like headliner stuff. It's like you have those kind of stuff that's like kind of mentioned, like Lego Technic, where it's like those things that are like
Yeah.
for the nerds, and then like the headliner stuff is the kind of stuff that like you would make the comics out of, like the Marvel stuff, like when Age of Ultron was getting promoted.
Hmm.
There were Age of Ultron comics that sadly never got finished because when I went to the website and like punched in the code to get like the next issue, because they had that thing where they would like post comics on the website as well to like continue the comic series, and you would have to get the code in the magazine to continue finding it on the website.
Hmm.
I never that last part of the comic for Ultron never came out. Lego, you killed me, bro. I still think about it to this day. I'm like, Lego cheated me, dude. I visited that site every day for 3 months waiting for that comic, and it never happened. You know how sad I was when that happened? Oh my
This is
gosh.
a weird amount of emotional things to
I
put
was
into a freaking Age of Ultron Lego
I had
comic.
I had nothing better to do with my life, bro.
Fair enough.
That was 11-year-old me. But no, so there was the headliner stuff in the comics, and the first few issues that I had were the TMNT stuff, and I'm sitting here like, okay, this is obviously something cool. I never hear anybody talk about it, but it gets so much clout as if
Yeah.
it's something that you do talk about, you know? And it still is. It still treats itself like that. And I
Yeah.
still don't even know what it is. I've known about it for 8 years, and I still don't know what Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles really even is.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't
even
know
think it
either.
has influence at all. I think people just say it because, like, oh, name brand.
I think it's yeah, I think it's something that like everybody watched an episode of when they were a child and like 10 people actually watched the entire series.
And then there's one diehard fan. And
Yeah.
that's it.
We've just made every TMNT fan annoyed. I know they're out there, but
this
honestly,
more out there.
I
Oh,
don't know. The last time I genuinely thought of that show was whenever they made the really ugly movie characters.
oh, yeah. I heard about that, and like, I heard that there was a movie of it, and I'm like, great.
There's several
Still don't know
movies
what
of
it
it.
is. You
Um,
know.
yeah. Speaking of Lego, there's another weird thing. I don't think it's very influential. I'm just surprised that it's still around. Lego Bionicles has to be just the weirdest
Okay.
thing.
Okay.
As
Listen.
somebody,
Listen.
I will say this: I watched some of the movies when I was a child. I actually like Bionicles.
The
I think
old
most
movies, the really old
I
movies.
don't know about the really old ones. They are animated. I know that. And then I tried to struggle through some of the newer stuff. I think there was like new ones in like 2018 or something. Didn't
Uh-huh.
really get into it, but I just find it so weird that this weird subset of Lego has like entire movies around it.
Dude,
That's just
I'll tell
weird
you
to
what.
me.
I'll tell you what. I was the only kid I ever knew that actually liked Bionicle, and so by proxy, I also liked Hero Factory because it was
Hmm.
the same kind of concept,
Yeah,
in as much as the actual sets,
yeah.
And I like nobody I knew liked it, and every time I brought it up, I got hated on for like being some
Bro,
kind of weird nerdy.
Bionicles are cool.
Yes, yes, Bionicles were so cool, and like the 2018 to 2019 period is one of those weird periods in the franchise history. But I loved everything that they put out in that time because like the characters were like there, and it
Hmm.
was so cool. And they had a few shows in that area yeah, the 2018-19 era. They had shows that I liked. If I am remembering the same thing that you are, it's that one where it looks like 2D and 3D blended
Yeah,
together,
yeah,
like 3D but with outlines.
yeah, yeah. I know what you're talking
Okay,
about.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
those are
it's
the
that
ones.
one. Yeah, I watched those and I liked them. And I had also watched the movies, the old 3D animated
Yeah,
movies.
I think we're talking about
Um,
the same ones.
okay. I went to the Legoland Hotel for
Hmm.
a fair bit one time as a kid, and they had the Bionicle movies rolling at one point in the lobby. And I would just sit in the lobby for like a whole hour and just watch those movies. And then, like, when we get into the hotel room, I would just go around on the channels and find the Bionicles section and just watch it. Because I was like, it's just so different. It's like Lego Technic. It's not, it
Hmm.
doesn't feel like a Lego product because it doesn't look Lego. It doesn't
Yeah,
look like what you think of. Like, nobody thinks of tech like those big Technic race cars when they think of Lego. When they think of Lego, they think like some, generic Lego City thing or something. Which is why I liked Bionicle and Hero Factory and Technic
hmm,
so much. Because it's just so different. It's so different. And I really enjoyed that kind of different because it was technical and it was weird. And it utilized a function, namely those ball and joint pieces.
hmm.
Um, it utilized those functions in a way that I had never seen before, but I had always imagined before. And utilizing it in that way made me unreasonably happy because it was something that like I had always like dreamt of. And then it's like it's there. And like one day I was just walking around Legoland and I see Lego Bionicle, and it's like it's there, and it's like it's the ideal thing for me, right? And
Yeah,
it's just I had there's no rhyme or reason really to why I even enjoyed it. And there's honestly no rhyme or reason to why the fan base even still sticks around. Yes, Bionicle fans, I know you guys like it. I still do too. I follow it from the sidelines, but believe me, there's no reason for us to still even exist because it's so niche. It's so obscure.
yeah. Like
It
it's yeah.
I don't even understand how it was a part of my childhood. Like I don't understand why I can even call it a part of my childhood to begin with. But there was a point where I was looking forward to seeing the Bionicle stuff in the Lego Club magazines,
Hmm.
and like if it ever came up in one of the magazines, and like there was like new sets and new designs of the characters, I was just I was just on the I was it just yes just yes,
Okay.
and I was yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I have to butt in here for a second before we.
No, I'm sorry, I talked.
No, it's okay. I just before we move off of Bionicles, I just have to point this out. I just looked up like the old ones from like the early 2000s. the
Uh-huh.
Bionicle movies.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, one of the directors for it, his name is Terry Shakespeare, and presumably his wife, Sue Shakespeare, produced them. So I'm just gonna say the first three Bionicle movies were a work of Shakespeare. So
Is it spelled right too?
I mean, he never spelled it right, so we can say whatever we want. But yeah, it is. I think it's the conventional spelling of Shakespeare.
Bionicle is a work of Shakespeare confirmed.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's great. Oh, I don't know why I didn't know that before. That's pretty cool.
I forgot about these movies. I need to rewatch them.
You make a video on him just to say that like
I will.
I rewatched Bionicle and this is how well it aged.
Honestly, I'm really willing to do that because honestly, these were the. I definitely watched these. I think these were some of. I think this was the one few things that I watched that I think my parents didn't enjoy watching with me, and I want to see why.
No, I if you ever do that, like hit me up on Discord and we'll have like a watching party because I want to be part of that too. I wanted to do that for so long, but I don't have a channel to do it. It's like I have a gaming channel, and like that's not even an appropriate place to do it. So it's like where would I do it? I want to be part of that. Let me know. Let me know
All
when you
right,
do that.
I'll do that. So actually, if I can shift gears a little bit, that's a funny
Absolutely,
pun
yeah.
you'll understand in a second. Is Bionicle for me? This is just interlocking things that have no actual correlation, but they do in my mind because I was a child and I drew random parallels between things,
As we all did as
as
kids.
we all did. So there's two main series in my childhood that are like looking back at them, I don't understand how they became pieces of cinema, I guess. One is Bionicles, because that's just like why. Um yeah, no, just why. I'm still confused how they
Yeah,
made those movies. But the second one is
Bionicles and by proxy Hero Factory because
yeah,
Hero Factory. If Bionicles didn't deserve to be made to be marketed that hard, Hero Factory
yeah,
definitely didn't because I'm pretty sure Hero Factory is much smaller than Bionicle.
yeah.
It's way more niche.
So then the other series I had is, and this one is actually very funny, and I will eventually do an entire video on this on my channel because this is just such a big part of my childhood, and the movies actually aged pretty well except the animation. Ugh, sorry, kind of scared me as a child, but
Oh yeah, which movie? Which
so
movie? Come on, stop hyping me
all
up.
right, so back in the early 2000s, Hot Wheels was like, we're gonna make a movie series. So they come out with the World Race, which is basically a children's show. You know, the cars go fast. Um, it's weirdly.
Okay,
It has
okay,
some weird
listen.
parts, but go ahead.
I'm not gonna lie. I didn't. I didn't know Hot Wheels had anything other than the die casts. Like I'm one of those.
No,
I'm sorry.
understandably.
I grew up with Hot Wheels toys. Okay, like I used to collect Hot Wheels alongside the Cars movie diecasts. Right, like when
Hmm.
Cars and Cars 2 were out, like I would collect the Cars toys, and I would race them alongside the Hot Wheels, and it would be like Cars versus Hot Wheels, and Cars would always win because I just liked Cars more. But Hot Wheels was one of the but Hot Wheels was one of those things that like every kid has had at some point, right?
Yeah.
Especially every little boy, because come on, fast race cars, man. I didn't know they had anything other than those, or like those little tracks. Because like sometimes at Toys R Us, rest in
Hmm.
peace, Toys R Us, I used to see those tracks that like you could buy in the box and you could build a track and just race the car like from the top up and down, and it would do like cool tricks or something if you get the momentum right. And I had
Yeah.
one of those as a kid. I actually had a device that you lock the car in like this long little thing that
Hmm.
looked like a brick separator or something, and you just launch it.
Yeah.
It just flies. But I didn't know they had a movie or a TV show or a movie.
It's a bit of in between. So first of all, so in 2003 they come out with the World Race, which is basically, I don't know how long it is. One second. How long are you? Give me your answers. You're not giving me the answers. Anyways, It's a decently long movie. So it's received fairly well. It's not a masterclass or anything, but it's good for what it is. Which is
Yeah.
supposed to just sell toy cars. So then 2 years later, they come back they're like, okay, we're gonna make sequels to this, and this is the Accelerator series, and this is the reason nobody probably knows Hot Wheels outside of the tracks and the cars, because this series was canceled after its fourth installment. I think there was supposed to be upwards of six, and the reason it got canceled
Oh,
is allegedly, I don't think anyone's officially confirmed this yet, but this is what ex-employees say, is that it got so popular that Mattel, the owner of Hot Wheels, shut the entire thing down and buried it. Because in some international releases, they dropped Hot Wheels from the title entirely. Nobody was buying toys off of this show because it was becoming more popular than Hot Wheels.
wait,
So the
hang on.
marketing
This
team who's
show,
wanting to sell
it wasn't a
toys,
hot show. Didn't it have Hot Wheels on the name?
in some releases they didn't, because the Accelerators title was more popular than the Hot Wheels title. So in some releases they just straight up dropped Hot Wheels from the title.
What?
Yeah.
They did what?
So the
They had to drop it because it was too good.
yeah, yeah, because that was the more recognizable name.
What?
So
How do you do that? That's so spectacular.
all right, so
Wow, Hot Wheels.
so
They had to cancel a show. Wait, hang on. You got to explain this to me again. So, there, Hot Wheels. Was it a Hot Wheels show, or was it a show inspired by, made by the same company?
it was a Hot Wheels show. It was um if you've ever watched any of the so basically, as I understand it, there's a lot of shows that came afterwards, if that's like Battle Force 1 and that stuff is what I think people are more familiar with. But there's also cartoons beforehand. And one of the characters you get repeated throughout almost all of these is Vert Wheeler. So he's in this series. So yeah, it is a Hot Wheels product. Like, it is explicitly Hot Wheels.
Okay, here, Hot Wheels Accelerators, a sequel to World Race.
Yeah.
Okay, this show became more popular than the toy itself, and people people that aired it would just rip the name Hot Wheels off of it, or did they not think that Hot Wheels was a toy first?
I'm not sure.
Did they think this was like its own thing?
I don't know the reasoning behind it, but I just know that some of the releases did not have the I think some of even the American releases just never put the Hot Wheels title on it, because I think they thought it was unimportant. Which is
Right, because I would see that I would understand like other countries doing that, like porting to others and dubbing it up and stuff. Like, oh gosh, other Americans too. Shoot.
yeah. So this is just a really good series, and as I said, I won't go too depth, and because I want to do a video on it. And it's really hard to find copies because in recent years, a community has started re-popping up around it. People remembering and trying to watch it, which of course means Mattel is trying to bury it again. So it's not on any streaming
Nostalgia
service.
factor.
And there used to be uploads on YouTube, but Mattel went, no, you can't have fun, and got them all taken down. So now really the only way you can find them is through DVDs, which you can find. There's plenty of them, but they tend to get more expensive with the later ones just because there weren't as many copies made, because, as I said, Mattel tries to bury this for some reason. Again,
Right.
it's a truly baffling decision. I don't
The
fully
corporations are just really good at doing that.
Yeah.
They just like doing that.
Yeah, but it's a really good show. It excels in character writing. As I said, I'm praising it a lot, and you might think, oh, that's just the nostalgia talking. It's really not. It's especially because it has a pretty big cast, and there's no real forgettable characters. And that's something that's really hard to do.
I'm just still amazed that a die-cast car company just had a show that was that good, and I didn't know diddly squat about it.
I know, because
I
it's a very specific thing, and I think it also got much bigger in. I'm pretty sure. I think Brazil or Portugal, because like half the stuff you find around it is in like Portuguese or Spanish. So I think it also got big in other places, but
right.
I'm no expert. I don't know if it really did. That's just from cursory glances that I see a lot of stuff in those languages on it. So I think it
It
got
makes sense
yeah,
because like the South America and East Asia are like really into the stuff that they have. Like if they
yeah,
have something, they're really into it. It's like even when like I know this is like kind of unrelated, but even in like music, like if a
mhm,
band goes to play in like South America, the crowds will be so loud that the band can't hear their own mix in the monitors because you know the bands have monitors in their ears, right? So that they
yeah,
can hear their own themselves. Like or like if you play like Rock in Rio in like Argentina or something, you are guaranteed to not be able to be heard. Like you will not be able to hear yourself because that's how into stuff the South Americans are. And the Eastern Asian people to a certain extent, like the Japanese. So it doesn't surprise me that like the Hot Wheels thing would like be bigger in like Brazil or Argentina or something because yeah, that sounds right.
yeah. So this is another thing that just has no right to be as good as it is. Again, this is to sell Hot Wheels toys, which arguably is even worse than like trying to sell Lego toys, because at least Lego has like a track
A building
record
function.
of
Yeah.
adapting things as well, like of
Yeah.
building stuff and all this. And this thing has like nothing to do with what it's trying to sell. What it does, because it's racing, but it shines in so many weird places that you just wouldn't think it does. If you are ever able to get your hands on it, watch it. There's
I'm
only
gonna
about 6 hours of content, I think, including the world race. Because it's four movies, each are about an hour long. That's why I never know if I should call it a movie series or a show. Because none of
don't
the
they call that miniseries?
yeah, I guess a mini series would be a good name for it. That would make more sense. Yeah, it is a mini series. I'm just too American to think like that.
well, well, interesting. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look for physical copies of this now. I've been wondering if I should like get physical copies of just stuff that I once saw as a kid and like really want because it's like
You should do it. Yeah.
I have a TV right here. I have this massive LCD TV that I could just plug a DVD player into and like just watch stuff. You know,
Yeah.
I just I could just get stuff. I could just get whatever I want and watch it in here as long as I have physical copies of it somehow. I'll, yeah, you
Yeah, if
know.
there's stuff from like the early, especially the early 2000s, I think that like you want to get physical copies, because as I said with stuff like this is that it's not impossible to find it. There's still enough copies lying around, but it does get expensive to get some of them just because they're so rare.
Yeah,
And
or they're from completely different areas, you know, and you got to
yeah,
pay shipping for stuff.
yeah, I know a lot of them are also coming from like Canada and stuff. So if you have stuff that you really want as like a child and it's not like on any streaming services or stuff like that, get physical copies, honestly.
Oh yeah,
And then at that point you even like, I can't probably legally tell you to do this, so this is a complete joke, but even like downloading stuff just so there's a copy around there for whenever the company eventually forgets that they have this product.
for legal reasons, it's a
For
joke.
legal
We do not
reasons, this is all a
condone
joke.
piracy. We totally don't. We don't condone
Nope.
piracy by any means. Downloading things illegally. No, we don't. We don't condone that at all.
Nope, that's horrible. But if you wanted to do that, I think it's pretty cool. That's for legal reasons. That's a joke.
It's a joke. It's a joke. I swear. No, no, I get it with the physical thing though, because for my dad's 45th birthday, my mom was able to find these. Um, she was able. Okay, so there's this 80s anime that not a lot of people know about, but that I recommend to everyone. If you want to start getting into anime, you should watch this show because it's an introduction not only to the tropes in a very mild and easy to accept sense, a very palatable
Mm-hmm.
sense, but it's also an introduction to how the Japanese write stories in this medium. There's a show called Robotech, and the thing is that the Japanese version and the American versions, the American dub, are two completely different things because the American dub mixes the three sagas into one long storyline,
Yeah.
as in one long universe. The
Mm-hmm.
Japanese version does not do that. Um, the three sagas are completely different entities from each other. They are not related in any way other than that they have the name Robotech. Um, so my mom was able to find this this set online of the American Robotech series that Dad watched as a kid. That then he showed to me on Netflix. That got taken down from Netflix shortly after I finished watching it with him when I was like, I don't know, 12. So it's gone. It's not very easy to get anymore. I don't even think it's on Amazon or Prime Video anymore. But Mom found the DVDs online along with this bonus material DVD set as well. So now we have a physical copy of this show in our home, and it's a show that like every kid will watch at some point as their introduction to anime besides Pokemon, because honestly, this family needs a better introduction to anime besides Pokemon. I'm sorry, it's just not the best introduction to
I
this
think
kind of
I
stuff.
think Pokemon is like Avatar in the it's like the reverse of Avatar, where Avatar feels kind of like an anime but isn't. Pokemon is an anime but kind of feels like it isn't.
It's too a lot of the seasons in Pokemon are too zany to be considered anime. Like I know anime can be zany,
Mhm.
and like the level for zany is really high, but Pokemon goes higher than that in a lot of areas. So yeah, no, I hear you there. Some friends I have unironically call Avatar an anime, and I just turn
I mean,
away and put my hand.
it's not even like somewhat accurate. It's just wrong.
It's not an anime.
It's just
It's not.
wrong.
It's it's just not. It's not. It's not Eastern storytelling. It's not even made in the East. It's completely American product. It just takes a lot of inspiration from anime, and they try to implement a lot of the stuff even in the animation style, like
Yeah,
in the
it's
show itself. But it's not. It's not an anime. It's not. I'm
yeah.
sorry. It's not.
I
It's
understand
just
the
a really animated
resemblances,
show.
but it's just not that. And to say it is just it's just
It's
not
just wrong.
true.
It's just wrong. Yeah.
It's just wrong.
Yeah. But no, yeah, to wrap back around to that, yeah, having physical copies of stuff. That's what I mean, though. Like, you hated on DVDs once, and it's like, not. Like, you
Ah,
gotta have physical copies of stuff. Like, even VHSs, okay? If
yeah.
the only way to get something is a VHS, I'm gonna freaking get the VHS. I'm gonna get a player just to play it.
Mhm.
Because honestly, I like playing VHS. I'm gonna say it. I like the feeling of playing a VHS. Because I grew up with half of the movies I watched being on VHS. Like my mom would like if there was a Sunday where we were home and mom was just dead tired, she's like, "Let's turn on Sound of Music." So all of us kids know we were taught how to handle tape.
Mhm.
We knew we were like taught at a very young age how to handle this analog stuff, I guess, right? So it's like you turn on the Sound of Music VHS and like that's how it rolls, and it's like I still remember it. Like, and we have the Blu-ray on. We have the Blu-ray of Sound of Music now, and it's huge. The colors pop out in ways that I never thought was possible before, and the remasters of everything from back then is amazing. But there's something about having the old thing. I'm gonna be real. That
Yeah.
is something too. That is something too. Like maybe in that regard, it didn't deserve to be that good as DVDs because um I don't know. People who really don't like DVDs kind of bring up a good point to where it's not entirely necessary for them to exist. Same with CDs, more or less. But CDs were just better than cassettes.
Yeah, no,
So like,
I don't think that's accurate. I think they're necessary. I mean, I just hate
yeah.
on that stuff more as a joke than anything. Realistically, it's just for me, just ease of convenience is digital, and realistically, that's the only reason. Um, So
Yeah.
even if like I truly didn't like DVDs, it would always be kind of a necessary evil. They're just I don't understand why people don't like that stuff. I it's just like I just like digital just because it's easier for me. But
Yeah.
it's not like they're bad. I don't understand people being like, how dare CDs exist? Like, how dare we make a easier way to read information? Yes, how dare us?
Yeah. How dare we make a more convenient way of consuming media?
Yeah,
And then they'll argue, it's not an easy way to consume media, and that's its own conversation. So, the petty fools and the sticklers, you know.
yep.
Um, I think in regards to strictly children's media, since we've been talking about a lot of TV shows, right?
Hmm.
What didn't deserve to be so good was okay. So there's two examples here that I have. One being it didn't deserve to be so good,
Hmm.
and the other being it didn't deserve the level of influence that it had. Um, I think Little Einsteins, if you grew up with that, didn't deserve to be as good as it was. It doesn't.
Fair.
It just doesn't. But it is so good. My dad and I were watching an episode lately with the kids. I think it was Friday. We're just watching an episode of Little Einsteins, and the introduction to certain concepts of like music fundamentals. Because yeah, it's mostly a musical show,
Yeah, it is.
which is why I still like it so much because music. And come on, I got to bring music up at some point in this podcast. We're a music podcast, remember?
Uh-huh.
So, um, yeah, just Little Einsteins is great. Oh my gosh, what was that?
That is the fire alarm. It's all good.
I, ow. Okay. Yeah. So that there's that. And then what I don't think should have had the level of influence, and this is kind of not kind of this is very controversial, and I don't know which side of the line you're on this because I don't think we've ever talked about this before, but SpongeBob.
Oh,
I
um,
don't like it at all.
uh,
It's one of those shows that's good because it generates a lot of memes, but it's one of those shows that because of the high level of meme content that it has, it kind of falls on its face if you kind of take it for what it's supposed to be or take it seriously, I guess. I don't know.
I am firmly in the camp of I didn't watch SpongeBob. I never have watched SpongeBob. I never will watch SpongeBob, and therefore, it is a show that exists, and that's about where my feelings about it end. It was never part of my life, so I have no feelings one way or the other. Um, I will say I don't know why it's so popular. It doesn't seem to be that good to me, but again, I never watched it, and I am certainly no longer in its demographic, so I'm not too good of a judge, let's say, to the demographic
Yeah.
they're going for.
I never grew up with that, nor did I grow up with like Phineas and Ferb or something. But like I tried watching it when I was a little older because I wanted to understand why the hype lasted so long, and I just couldn't. Maybe it's just because I don't understand it or something, but I just couldn't. I didn't like it. Um, but what else? How about in the realm of video games? What's a video game that's so good that got so much attention, whether it be like old or recent? Because actually, there's a few recent examples that I could bring up as far as like video games, like that don't deserve to have the level of attention that it even does, but it does for some reason.
I think that this might be a really big hot take for somebody who's never really played the games before, but the later Call of Duty games, I don't understand why that's still such a popular game. I just
Mm,
never hear anything good about it anymore, and it's still like the most popular game. Just something that
yeah,
I don't understand. I feel like that game is overhyped mostly because people who play the games tell me it's overhyped. Um,
yeah.
so I don't. But that's a bad example because I've never played them, so I don't really know.
It's
Um,
Call of Duty and Counter Strike, yeah. Because there's CS:GO that like is so popular, but then like nobody uh It's just it's one of those very basic average games, and there's a guy I know who's like, there's one guy I know who loves CS:GO, and then there's another guy I know who's like, nah, CS:GO is garbage. I just play Counter Strike Source because that's the really good game that came out like what 2007 I think.
Yeah. Oh, there goes the fire alarms again.
Boy, who's cooking?
Who
Who's
knows?
cooking without a fan? Anyways, yeah.
Trying to think of other examples. The problem
I mean,
is,
old consoles themselves really don't deserve to be as good as they were.
yeah,
Then
that's
again,
true.
that really depends on your definition of good because, yes, I'm going to bring this up again. The Wii.
Or consider the Wii bad. No, sorry, old. I don't think the Wii is. The Wii's only 2 generations old.
Yeah, but like even still, people don't reckon it was like ever meant to be like as influential as it
Oh
was.
yeah,
I think
no.
it was super good, and like honestly, I don't think the DS series or the 3DS had any right to be as good as it was. Like the
Oh
whole DS line, the very concept of it is just weird to me, but it's there and it was really good and really influential for me as a kid. So it's like, you know,
yeah, yeah, no, that's fair. Almost everything Nintendo does, I'll say, is not. I'll say that. Yeah, Nintendo is a video. Nintendo as a company is something that produces stuff that I guess surprises me to this day. I feel like they don't really earn the title of being better than they have any right to be because they consistently put out decent stuff. But I am usually pleasantly surprised by what they put out.
yeah, it's
Like,
hit or miss for me in regards to like Nintendo stuff because I don't know. Nintendo behaves kind of funny.
yeah, I just that is true. That is
Nintendo is one
fair.
of the companies of all time. Okay.
That is true. Nintendo will be like release a masterpiece of a game and then just be like, anyways, here's whatever we had sitting in the back room for 10 years. Play this too. And it's like, wow, this is awful. What? Why have you done this to
Why
us?
did you promote it in literally the same sentence?
Yeah.
It's
Um,
like, yeah.
I think I think Jedi Fallen Order was a really good game that I don't think I don't know
It's funny
cuz
because then this conversation will derail into stuff that's like stuff that should have gotten more credit. Those rare gems that are just absolute pieces of gold,
I have
and it's just like, and they never got the attention they
to
deserved.
me that is Star Wars The Force Unleashed and I will again be doing an entire video on that just cuz I want to talk about it for a really long time. There are a lot of games that I think go underappreciated.
Absolutely,
But
absolutely.
better than they should be. I don't know. I think games is a pretty hard one to come up with examples for that.
Yeah.
Um
Games with legendary titles,
mhm.
right? Like those are difficult to say that like they don't deserve to be as good as they are because of the legacy that they've already left,
Yeah.
right? So you would have to go way far back. So really, it only really like applies to like newer stuff, but there's not a lot of new flagship titles of like your top five big companies.
Yeah. Um I think for things that don't necessarily deserve the influence they have, I think I don't know. This is a hard one because I don't exactly want to say it because it's not like bad or anything. It's just again a game that I think FNAF is a game that reached a really big height of popularity that based off of the first game it didn't necessarily um I don't want to take away from it because I don't want to be like, it's a bad game and other games should have gotten the credit. All credit to FNAF for doing that. I just
Mm.
think there's a lot of other games that are just better in many ways that don't get it. So I find it interesting that that's a game that really took off. It's nothing against FNAF's credit. It's entirely about other things just not getting the same popularity.
What the
It's
heck?
just interesting to me. Yeah, I think
Yeah, it is interesting how specifically FNAF got all the credit that it does.
mhm.
It's, I mean, not opposed to it,
Yeah, it's not
but
like bad. It's not like I'm saying that it's like it didn't deserve it. It just the title and the way I've heard people talk about it in like a critical sense, it just feels like a weird game to get that much attention. I
Yeah,
guess is that's nothing against it. It's not like I'm being like, how dare it get the attention. It's more just like that's the one,
yeah.
huh?
It's just like that got the attention. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not upset at it. It's just
Right,
like
right.
that's not what I would expect. So it's like, all right.
Yeah.
And especially with the later games. Again, this is one of the weird things where it's a game where like it gets so popular, but as time goes on, like everybody just seems to really dislike the games themselves. Like,
But it still grows in popularity to this day.
yeah, it's like what are we doing here? If we don't like the games, why is it still popular? Why do
Because
we
of the
still
lore.
play
The
this?
answer is because of the lore.
Yeah,
Because everybody who's into FNAF and like into FNAF is like a fan of the lore more, less so than the games. The games are a
it's true.
vessel for the lore and the story to continue. And that has actually been what's been growing the popularity the
It's
most,
true.
considering that we haven't had a new title in a bit, right? Since
Well, yeah,
Scott Cawthon's basically radio
we
silent.
had Security
Um,
Breach. That was earlier this year.
this year?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, because it got delayed out of 2021. I'm
It's
fairly sure
2020.
that was this year. I think it.
Oh, right. Yeah. I'm sorry, I forgot that those games existed.
Oh, that's fine. They're just burned into my memory because I got on the FNAF train with the lore, and then Security Breach came out, and then I just was like, "This is the greatest game ever." It's it's so
It's so
bad. It
bad.
it fails like everything I would expect from it, and I love it.
Oh, you gotta, you gotta make a video on that at some point, dude.
If I might, I genuinely kind of wanna. I just love that it. Oh no, okay, no. It was released in 2021, but it hasn't been a year yet. It was released in
Oh,
December.
okay. So it is. Okay, so it is new. Okay.
I think really the more
Okay.
interesting.
Well, I mean, yeah, I got on. Sorry.
Sorry, okay, there's just major lag there. Um, the thing I just want to put this in. The thing that I also love Security Breach for is because FNAF Help Wanted just looks like such a good game, and then it was like, here's this pile of bugs that we stitched together into a game. Like just the juxtaposition of the two games is so funny to me.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. No, yeah, and like you said earlier, I also got on the FNAF bandwagon because of the lore. Because I saw so many memes. Like I knew vaguely of FNAF's existence as a horror game, and so because of that, I stayed away from it.
Hmm.
Because this was before I actually got addicted to horror, and now I can't sleep at night ever anymore. But before that, I kept seeing so many FNAF memes because there was a point in time that where I was on the internet where like FNAF memes would just invade my algorithm no
Hmm.
matter what I did to stop it, and it's just like FNAF lore be like, and it's just like all this stuff, and I'm sitting here like, okay, what's the hype? I find out like a couple months later, and I'm like, oh, okay. And so like, and now there's this YouTuber that I would like to shout out because I'm subscribed to him, like Hyperified. I think the way you say it is Hyperified Droids. He's this guy that made the first not the first, but the most palatable, cohesive timeline of the FNAF games,
Hmm.
and to extent including bits and pieces from the books. But he was the first guy who made a video going through the whole story and telling it like a story, like taking everything and then rechronicalizing everything and telling it like a story with all of the visuals, with all of the gameplay footage and stuff like that. I think I sent you that video actually. It's still by far his most popular channel or video on his channel, and it's got yeah, it's still the most popular video on his channel. And recently, what he's been doing is wait a minute. Who is this? This is the third time this person's called me this week. Give me a minute.
Okay.
Yo. Hung up again. Hung up as soon as I said hello. What the heck? Illinois numbers, dude. Anyways, Um. Oh yeah, Hyperfied Droids. He makes this series now where he solves the mysteries of the lore and like all these unanswered questions, taking everything that we have from the books and the games and stuff,
Hmm.
and making it all actually make sense. Like it's not quite like MatPat. In my opinion, it's better, but I would like to shout out Hyperified Droids for that because his work is absolutely sick. So yeah, um, that's all I have to say.
Fair enough. Um, hmm.
What else? We could just talk about something else. I don't know.
I think I don't know why I always come back to this, but I think Subnautica does is a weird
You
game
are
to
in
us.
love with Subnautica,
I'm really
okay?
not. It's just
Your
invaded my life at this
your
point.
girlfriend is Subnautica, okay? The amount of times
I
you
didn't
talk
choose
about
this.
Subnautica almost as much as I talk about the Wii and music in general,
I don't
okay?
know why it's like this. It's invaded my life. I didn't choose this. Listen, man. After my next review, I should be done with Subnautica.
He says that, and then he's gonna put out 10 more videos before the year is over. You watch. Nah, he can't put out 10 videos a year, but
Yeah, it's a bit of a tall order for me, but
yeah,
um,
no, you're good. You're just a Subnautica fan, but we all know it. It's okay. You don't need to be ashamed of it. We all know that Subnautica is just like your love now.
Fortnite is the opposite of it. Doesn't it's the I don't understand why it's so popular. Again,
Oh my gosh.
don't even hate
Yes,
Fortnite.
Fortnite. Oh my
Just
gosh.
a mediocre game at best.
It's so formulaic and it's so basic. It's so basic and it's like but it has so much hype. It's like why? Honestly, you can make that argument about Roblox and Minecraft too. Like Minecraft. How in the world did Minecraft get so good? Right? Like how did it get so popular? Like why?
I mean,
Not even how. Why?
sure.
Like I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
It's just why. Just want to know. Whatever like I don't know, maybe they just marketed it well. I have no idea.
I don't think Minecraft has marketed anything ever, but okay.
honestly, when has Minecraft ever marketed it anything? Just yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, I should show you what I got this week. I'm just gonna share this because I bought this and it doesn't work, and I spent 100 I spent 165 bucks for this. Um, so I've been looking for this pedal for a whole year, and listings of it haven't been that prominent because it's a very rare pedal, and the company that made this discontinued it a long time ago because it wasn't that popular, which deeply saddens me because it is the one wah pedal with the most range in the world. It's the best wah pedal that no one knows about, and I want to make a video on it, but I can't because it's broken. Something got knocked around during shipping, apparently, because every time I engage it, it doesn't make a wah sound. It goes brrr,
Bruh.
and no matter what I do to the pedal to change its settings or what I do to the guitar or the amp, it just goes brrr the whole time. I'm sitting here like I paid $166 for a brrr pedal. The pedal could have paid $20 for that, honestly.
Man got scammed. The
I
UPS just like shook his box around.
The thing is like built like a tank and there's not a scratch on it. So I don't think I got scammed. And honestly, I've waited too long for this pedal to return it. So if I have to spend another like $100 at some electronics store to repair this, I'm going to spend it because I'm sick and tired of waiting for my
You're in
chance to
too
have this
deep.
thing.
There's no
I
coming
yeah no
back.
I've waited a whole year and I finally have it and it doesn't work. It's like no I have to make this work now. So yeah, that's the random side note that probably won't even make it in the cut. So we'll see. We'll see what mood I'm in when I'm editing this video. You know what else is really good but doesn't get the attention that it deserves is AdventureKarma's YouTube channel. So go
I
subscribe
don't
to
know
his
about
YouTube
that,
channel.
but
It is so bad, it's good.
that is true.
And
That
as
is
his channel banner says, subscribe. You won't regret it. So please
You
go
will not
subscribe
find.
to Adventure Karma, the man right here who's hosting this thing, because it's that good or bad or good. I edited a video for him just now, so I kind of have to plug him. So
I'm trying to think. Is James Charles still on my YouTube banner?
no,
I don't
didn't you change it?
remember.
Didn't you change that?
I don't remember. I don't know if he's still there or not. And you
All
can't
right.
see it unless you access it through a TV.
Oh, you've got that setting on. Okay, okay, yeah, because on the computer version, it's just subscribe. You won't get it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but you have to make like it really big just in case somebody like goes through the 10-hour process of getting it big on their TV.
Who does that?
I don't know.
Honestly.
I don't even know how to do it.
Well, I know how to do it, but I actually went through the entire hour of trying to do it, and I just sat there like, that was a good hour of my life that I wasted doing literally nothing useful ever at all. Yeah, one of the moments of all time in my life, to be sure. Um,
Definitely.
Follow us on Spotify because we're on Spotify now.
Yes, Spotify. Um,
Please follow us because we need the money.
I love money. Yeah.
Yeah.
Money has no right to be as good as it is.
I don't know, man. I think money, I kind of is the right to be as good as it is. It just is the right, okay? Oh man. Anyways, yeah. Um music. What's some really good music that you've heard that like from somebody like small and like out of nowhere? There's some artists that are so small and just crank stuff.
Damian Roy Wilson, he made a music video recently. Go check him out. Definitely not my lifelong friend. I don't,
Oh,
not lifelong, but you know what? Let's
this
go
is
with lifelong. That's not
this is our
accurate.
time to plug everyone that we know.
Yeah.
Um, Go follow Stingin Shikimo, that synthwave artist we had on one time on all of his platforms. Go follow Kira on Twitter because that's the only thing she has is a Twitter. she, um, uh, yeah. Don't follow me because I totally don't need the 1,000 subscribers to actually start making money off of this platform.
Yeah.
Please follow me. I'm actually trying to set up a Rumble account. Have you heard of
Heck is
Rumble?
Rumble?
It's basically the new YouTube. It's actually how do I explain this? It is the new way to make money on the internet. So on Rumble, you can just post stuff on YouTube, like what you do on YouTube. But there's the additional feature of if you pay Rumble, they can promote your content on. Actually, no, not if you pay them. If you hand over the rights to your content, they will share their content on you. They will share that content on all of their platforms, and they will share the revenue that they make off of that content with you. You will get a share of that revenue if you give them the rights to your content.
You know,
It's really interesting.
I'm not gonna lie to you. The fact that the first thing I saw when I'm coming on here is Donald Trump, the quartering, and then something called the Bitcoin Magazine. I'm scared, honestly.
It, it initially it's initially it got popular because this one is that from Steven Crowder.
It's what I don't know. I don't pay attention to these people. I just
I don't know.
every single know is every single time one of these comes up, it just devolves into racism. That's all I know. I don't trust these sites, bro.
No, it got popular because a political YouTuber got banned from the site, kind of. So he got himself on Rumble, and basically that's how people started knowing about it. And now it's becoming a more generally popular platform, and it works
If
because they crank the content that you allow them to share on their site.
if it lives for the next 3 years without any major things, I'll actually look into it. I do not trust these up and coming sites though.
I'm pretty sure it's been around for 3 years at least. It's
Give it
Not
three more in the limelight. Things can exist underground for a while, but once they start trying to compete with bigger things,
yeah, and
they
then
tend to
they actually
falter out.
become the big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm just
Yeah, I
generally
mean, you can
suspicious.
find that kind of stuff anywhere, though. That silly racism stuff or whatever. It's just like, you know,
Yeah, you can find it
it's the
anywhere.
freaking internet.
There are certain
Um,
sites that are willing to pander to people in order to get the money
yeah.
monies. Shockingly, I know.
I just
Corporations
like
never pander to
I
people.
I just go on YouTube on an alt account and visit as many offensive meme videos as I possibly can. Because that's where
Bruh.
all the big funny is. They're not even offensive. They're just really funny memes. Honestly, that's where all the good stuff is. The offensive memes. I'm telling you, sort by controversial. That's where you get all the good comments on Reddit. If you ever go on Reddit,
That
which
is
I'm
not
assuming you
true.
don't.
That is not true, bro.
Yes, it is.
Okay, yeah,
I
they're
sort by
funny, but
controversial all the time. I live slightly unhealthily, but we don't talk about that.
all right, fair enough.
Anyways,
I'm looking to how much is security breach? We're doing this. I'm looking into this live right now. It's $40.
$40 for security breach, bro.
Why are all the views very positive? Who is trolling the site? Right, it's Steam. I forgot.
Well, it's also Scott Cawthon, so like maybe that
Yeah,
too.
that's true, but if you've ever looked through Steam reviews, like half of them are just thumbs up. My wife left me. And then no
Yes,
other
I've seen those.
clarifications.
Yes, I know, I know.
I think my favorite ones that are like downvote, like this game is unplayable, and they're like reviewed at 5 hours, and then it's like 24 hours of playtime, and I'm like, then why did you keep playing it? I don't understand.
Yeah, it's a bit crazy, bit crazy. Um, Steam. That is another actually interesting network of places. Is
Steam
Steam.
is scary, bro.
Scam? What?
Steam.
Scheme.
If you go anywhere on Steam, it is terrifying. I don't know why Steam is allowed to be like a normal company. Anybody who's visited a community board on Steam.
Dude, I tried posting something on the TF2 community board once, and it got blown to hell. So I just deleted it. It's like, oh my gosh, people on the internet are so bad. To the surprise of literally no one that's ever lived ever.
Yeah, Steam's an interesting place.
Um, Speaking of Steam, I'm going to use this as an actual opportunity to talk about something that's completely unrelated to the main topic that we were talking about. But I'm going to talk about it because I need to talk about myself more because I'm totally not a narcissist.
Hit me with it.
I'm working on the soundtrack for a video game, and this video game is going to be put on Steam, and we're going to figure out how to get $5,000 with this game. We're going to charge $5 for this game, and we're going to shoot for 1,000 downloads because we know enough people that hopefully, out of the goodness of their hearts, will download it. Friends of the developer, I know who you are. You better pitch in. This guy is making an actually, I think, a pretty good game. I haven't seen gameplay footage of it. He's only sent me reference files, but I'm just doing this for a friend. But I'm wondering if you would be willing to play this game and buy it from him once it's released and
I'll
make a review of it on his channel to help promote it.
I'll play it and then I'll give you your answer.
So you'll
I'm
buy
not gonna
it.
lie about it. That's what I'm saying. My
No, so you'll
reviews are
buy it.
my
Okay.
honest opinion.
No, he
I'll
doesn't.
buy
He
it.
don't care what kind of opinion you have. He just needs the exposure. So it's like, will you buy it and play it for him?
I'll buy it. Cheap free Steam games are the pinnacle. You'll find some like truly amazing stuff, and then other times you'll find things like Crash and Run. I'm really sad. That game's been abandoned by its developers, and that's genuinely like some of the worst news I've ever received. I really wish they would keep updating that game. That game was so weird.
Oh no, and then there's those free games. There's just like one-offs that like people pray for a sequel, and it's just never.
It's never happening.
You'll never get the sequel you want.
Never happening. Yeah, no.
But yeah, he's making a game. The premise of the game is where I don't know how much I'm allowed to talk about it, but he and I don't have a contract, so I'm going to talk about it as much as I want.
I don't got no NDA.
I have no legal repercussions for this. It's the premise of the game is that it's a potato trying to escape Idaho. That's the premise of the game. Yeah.
Bro, you're saying you could escape? That is unrealistic. Sorry, I cannot give my permission. As a verified person who's driven through Idaho many times, there's no escape. Just in general, really.
There's no escape from the potatoes.
no
Okay,
escape
French
from the potatoes.
fries will like puncture your tires.
Yeah. Idaho is very aggressive. It's not, but
It's not, but it is vastly different from the states that border it
that is
for some
true.
reason. Because I drove through Idaho once to get into Montana and then to North Dakota,
Mhm.
and having been to Washington as well, Montana and Washington are nothing like the part of Idaho that I went through. It's
Oh
just
yeah, no.
Montana is beautiful, Washington looks beautiful, and then there's Idaho,
There's
and
that-
it's like, are you sure this is not Ohio?
Yeah, so southern Idaho, there is a part of Idaho that is like Montana and Washington, and it's the Panhandle part. And the funny story is that the only reason Idaho has that Panhandle is because neither Washington nor Montana would take it. That's not a joke. There was like gold in the mountains, and Washington and Montana didn't want to take this area with a bunch of ruffians and like young men like running around being rambunctious. So they both just were like, nah, we ain't taking this land. So they just gave it to Idaho because nobody else wanted it.
And then Idaho's like, wait, I don't want this either. Too bad. It
Too
borders
bad.
Canada, and we both said no. So do you want it to be part of Canada? No. Well, then take it.
Oh, that was so cursed. Idaho Panhandle goes to Canada.
Ugh. The shape, the whole top of the U.S. just like this is indent now. It's just
Oh,
like
that would be such a cursed border.
America if it was cursed. Just like all these cutouts of like awkward territories. Like the whole Louisiana Purchase just goes back to its one large territory.
Oh no. Please
It goes
don't
down to
make
like
Louisiana
25
bigger.
states.
Don't make Louisiana bigger, please.
What do you have against Louisiana? Other than that, it's Louisiana.
It's Louisiana. Speaking as somebody whose family comes from Louisiana, it's Louisiana.
I know a guy who comes from Louisiana. He seems
I'm
rather
so
cool.
sorry.
But dang, dude, you're really out here railing people, man. I mean, it's bad enough that you hate Texas. I mean, I don't know what part of Texas you live in, but
Texas is scary. All right, the people are too friendly. Leave me
too
alone.
too friendly. Okay.
I want to buy my cereal in peace. Leave me alone.
As a Californian, I'll take as much friendliness as I can get. So that sounds great.
You and I are very different. People who are happy
Yes.
scare me.
Well, I mean, people who are happy scare me too, but it's like I do want some happiness every once in a great while as a resident of California. Anyways, no, like I got a bunch of friends and family out in Tennessee, and they say that like the people out there are like so nice. Like people will wave at you from the street if you're like just driving down the street, and
Yes.
if you don't wave back, you're just a piece of garbage, dude.
Yeah,
If you don't wave back to some schmuck on the street, like, dude, like they will find you and they won't kill you, but they'll make you wave back at the person. They will break down your door to like, you know,
Yeah.
if you're not friendly, like
People give this as a good thing. I disagree. I want to leave me alone.
I just want to be
Scare
alone.
me.
Your manifestation of happiness is very different from my own.
Exactly.
I'll take some happiness, but I will agree. There are times where it's just like, okay, that is charismatic. Yeah.
Yep.
I think I've just become more and more introverted the older I get, which is really weird because you know me. I'm a maniac. But I don't know. There's a lot of things that just wound up with me becoming an introvert because it's like there's just a lot of introvert coping mechanisms for things that just make more sense to me. And so I'm becoming less extroverted and not sure how I feel about that, but honestly, it feels kind of nice.
Don't feel. Then you'll just be an
Just,
introvert. Uh,
just don't feel
just
okay.
don't, bro. All right, I have to get going.
All
So
right,
I'm
cool.
gonna round this out by giving everybody a look at the Santa shirt that I have hanging back there.
Hang up. Can you pull it up and
Yeah.
show it up to the camera? Leg reveal! Leg reveal! Oh my gosh, he cannot hear me. Leg reveal. Oh my gosh. Leg reveal. Are you watching me like yell at the camera right now?
Yeah.
I said leg reveal. You have a leg reveal now.
I did a leg reveal in the Jake Paul video, I think. That's a really old
Uh,
video. Anyways, so
stay jolly, my
what's
friends.
funny about this is that I think this is supposed to be like back whenever Santa was doing the Coca-Cola thing. Um,
Uh-huh.
but because the logo is covered up, it just looks like he's taking a sip of alcohol. And
It
that's
just
what I
looks like
find
beer.
funny. Yeah, that's what this is my sense of humor.
It's perfect. It's perfect. Dude, you had better wear that in the next in one of these future videos
I
you've got or
will.
like next episode or something. That is sick.
Thank you all for watching. This has been the Idiots on the Airwave podcast with idiots and some airwaves. Check us out on Spotify. I know we already plugged all this, but we're doing it again. We both
Yep.
have YouTube channels, and also subscribe to this channel.
Please and
Because
thank you.
this is where we talk, and this
Yes.
is where the majority of my content goes. Actually,
You are on camera here more in one episode of this than you are in like 6 months of your regular content.
this is true.
This is the main channel
This
now.
is this is yeah, that's pretty accurate. But yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
We'll
for
catch you
being
guys
here.
later.
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry that the editing has took so long on the last episode. Trying to up the game, but what are
Sorry,
you
I
doing?
just and the cameras just make me look so pale. It's kind of funny. I find it comical. I'm
You
not.
really are a white boy.
Yeah, I know I am, and I'm not in real life. But apparently I am. Anyways, yep. Thank you all for
Anyways,
watching. We will see you next time.
so yeah.
Bye.